And away we go. Welcome back to Football Therapy, ladies and gentlemen, with me, your host, Jan. I hope you're doing well, friend, viewer, listener. I really do hope that. Welcome back to Chelsea News. Things are popping off all over the gaff as we end the season. Come to what is going to be one of the most compelling transfer windows ever, not least because everyone wants a striker, but Chelsea have 400 million players to sell, some of which we would like to sell, some perhaps not, and we're going to cover all of that today. A confirmation on the Lukaku plan, or his plan. Victor Osimhen, Bayern pulling out of the race, and Manchester United. Are they going to buy Mason Mount? It looks like they might. That's negative in my eyes, but you want to hear something positive? Take a couple of minutes and listen to this. It's finally time for me to give back and get all you man loaded. You can get some free and new exclusive beers from one of the UK's best breweries. My good friends at Beer 52 and Siren Brewery have collaborated with 8 different breweries. That's a lot of different places for beer to offer you 8 exclusive beers you won't find anywhere else. Simply go to beer52.com/football therapy. The URL is on the bottom of the screen right now. Cover the cost of just the postage, which is £5.95, but that's just to post the beers to you. You get all the beers for free. Free beer! Here's a clip of me admiring Beer 52's beers.
Look at all these delicious beers!
And snacks. Their industry experts carefully curate
a new case of beer every month
for the very best craft beer and from the best independent breweries around. So this month they have teamed up with beer legend Siren to celebrate the brewery's 10th birthday, making delicious beers. Oh, delicious beer. Oh, I deserve this. I know I've put on weight, but craft beer is worth it. There's loads of stuff you can get from Beer 52, man. If you don't like dark beer, you can simply choose the light beer case. And don't forget, you can get a couple of tasty snacks too, and they are tasty, I've tried them. You can learn about Siren's story and the fantastic breweries they collaborated with the award-winning Ferment magazine. Even if, after all that, you're still unsatisfied, you can pause or cancel anytime. That's what good companies do. So that's beer52.com/football therapy to claim your free case now. Free beer, man. Free delicious craft beer. That's beer52.com/football therapy. Just go and get yourself some free beer, crack it open, think of better times, thank me later, click the link in the top of the description, and go get yourself some beers. It's finally time for me. Beer. Yeah, free beer, man. Who doesn't want it? Click the link in the top of the description now. Look, Chelsea news, lots to get into. Oh my giddy aunt. It's gonna get worse before it gets better, and you don't really want to hear that after the season we've just had. It hurt, and it remains to hurt. Alright, first of all, Matteo Barzagli, Italian Sky Sports reporter, has confirmed Lukaku does not want to return to Chelsea, regardless of who the manager is. So all this talk of Pochettino maybe sitting down with the striker who has proven he can be very good at times, who has scored over 100 Premier League goals for a team who can't score Premier League goals. Yes, I understand many of you, and probably me, myself included to a large degree, just wouldn't want him back because it just seems risky. You shouldn't go back. Yes, he's found form again, but he crapped on the club rather badly, and you just can't trust him for both PR reasons and indeed his form. But it has been confirmed that his plan is not to return to Chelsea. He's probably thinking he had a terrible time at Chelsea, chiefly because of his own behaviour, but ultimately it was a negative experience for him. And then he went back to Inter, got injured and didn't find form for ages, had a terrible World Cup, and he probably only feels like he's growing back into a good place in football again. So, Champions League final, etc. Granted, they will get slapped up by Manchester City, but here's to hoping. So he's probably like, I just don't want to do that again. So he doesn't want to come to Chelsea. So what's the options? Of course, his preference would be remain at Inter. And should he do that, and should he lower his wages, that could help Chelsea's bargaining position to perhaps do some transfer business with Internazionale, could be trying to sign Lautaro Martinez. Of course, we do want a striker. That is a widely reported target of soon-to-be-announced Chelsea manager Mauricio Pochettino, of course, his countryman. Though I do have reservations personally about Lautaro Martinez coming into the Premier League and just immediately delivering. Better than nothing at this point, and it could be an opportunity for a bargaining chip. Although it would be sad that he has to leave his little friend in it. Lukaku's like, oh, I've just come from there. Don't go there. I don't like it there. You shouldn't go there. Do you know what I mean? See what happens, though. Regardless, hopefully, if they somehow, and praise all your respective gods, or pray to them rather, that Inter win the Champions League, because I'm not one of these people that, oh yeah, I'd love for an English team to win. No, Manchester City are a Premier League rival in the top end of the table, where we should be usually, but we usually are. We've proudly got a bunch of European trophies, and it's something that we can say, look at Man City don't, and we do. I've got nothing against the players or the manager. I don't like state-backed ownership. That's why I was against the Saudi media group buying Chelsea. I got a load of stick for that, by the way. So, the whole ownership model I don't think is good. I don't even know what I'm saying. Yeah, so I'm praying for Inter to win, but essentially that's what I was going to say. And if they do win and Lukaku becomes a Champions League winner and they generate more revenue and brand awareness, whatever comes with winning the Champions League, then they'll have a bit more money. And if we can squeeze, I don't know, how much could you get out of Lukaku now? It'll be 30, 3 years left on his deal. He'll have to lower his wages. 45 million euros if they've got money to spare. And maybe that would just be seen as discount off Lautaro, so you end up paying 25 for Lautaro or something. Do you know what I mean? Something like that. That could be possible. Anyway, Lukaku not coming back to Chelsea. Many of you will offer a sigh of relief to that news. So let me know what you think about that. In fact, throughout the video, let me know how you feel about the stories, and I'd urge you at this point to like the video if you like me, because I like you. So like the video if you want to, and subscribe if you want to. Should just do so. Hit the bell, and let's move on. Are we going to move on? There we are. So we are going to talk about David Ornstein's Mason Mount article in just a moment. But Victor Osimhen, from one not very desired Serie A striker to another. Victor Osimhen, of course, an incredible centre-forward playing for Napoli, just won the Scudetto. Scored a bunch of goals, he has. He has. Everybody wants him. And I said, lots of people want a striker. Bayern Munich want a striker. Chelsea Football Club want a striker. Manchester United want a striker. So let's say they are the three biggest. Now, Victor Osimhen, Fabrizio Romano has confirmed, will cost too much money for many clubs. Certainly Bayern Munich. Bayern Munich are not prepared to pay the money that they really want him to come in and be a striker. They need a striker. They've accepted that after Lewandowski left, and they tried Sadio Mane up front. They tried, Choupo-Moting scored a few goals, but it's not really the solution. Gnabry didn't work up there. So they will buy a striker. They've sort of, Julian Nagelsmann left. He sort of went, we don't need Lewandowski. We don't need a striker. We can be more free-flowing. And to be fair to Nagelsmann, they were okay underneath him until they sacked him, and Tuchel's had a terrible time out in the Bundesliga ever since, so they shouldn't have hired Tuchel, really. Or they shouldn't have sacked Nagelsmann. So they want a striker. They've sort of swallowed their pride, and they're going to get centre forward. But Bayern, the last few years, they've spent a lot of money. They never used to spend a lot of money. I think, Hernandez, they pay a decent chunk for, and someone else as well. But they won't pay the money that De Laurentiis of Napoli is demanding for Victor Osimhen, which is going to be 140 million euros, 150 million euros. Maybe that's just talk, and you get him for 130 million euros. I think, Bayern were thinking 90 or something. So Bayern have been priced out of a move. Now, Harry Kane will probably leave Spurs this summer. I personally would love Harry Kane. I love it. I think his game's perfect for the Premier League, and I think he'd bring the best out of the wide forwards, whether that's Mudryk or Madueke. I think he'd be great. I don't think he's going to come to Chelsea. As much as I'd love that dream to come true of his being reunited and tempted by Pochettino and not having to move his family out of London and all these other things I'm clutching onto theoretically, Manchester United will be playing Champions League football, I'm pretty sure, and or at least European football, and I think Kane would just like to play for Ten Hag. He's the perfect Ten Hag striker. By going to Manchester United, he won't hurt the Tottenham fans' feelings. Of course, will give his blessing to leave at this point. Dude's going to hit 30. He hasn't won anything. He's going to be the Premier League's record scorer. That is a travesty that can only be bestowed upon you by the Tottenham. So they will understand that, and they'll be like, fine, go to United, but, you know, not Chelsea, especially because Poch is there. It would hurt them doubly, which would be fun, but won't happen. So, Harry Kane, this is me speculating, Harry Kane to Manchester United, Victor Osimhen not to Bayern Munich. It looks like they're going to go for Kolo Muani at Frankfurt. Of course, win their league. They've seen him play really well. We spoke about him in yesterday's video, I believe. Which, if there's one team left, and if there's a market for Victor Osimhen this summer, Fabrizio Romano has said Chelsea remain in the race. Now, Chelsea spend a lot of money under this ownership. 600 million, etc. We understand that striker is the big problem position. They want to get a goalkeeper, but they don't want to spend too much. They might spend 30 or 40 million on a goalkeeper, and to be honest, it probably will be an upgrade to what we have. A midfielder, maybe one of the Portuguese league midfielders that we've been speaking about. And then maybe the bulk of the remaining available funds goes on Victor Osimhen. And maybe it's 120, 30 million euros, which is a lot of money. And many of you will balk at that and you'll talk about alternatives, and fine. I'm not saying for a moment Chelsea should spend this money at Osimhen, but he is absolutely a player that you'd welcome in the team, right? Right? Chelsea would need to generate revenue, of course. They'd have to sell your Ruben Loftus-Cheeks, your Kovacic's, your Pulisic's, your Ziyech's, your Aubameyangs, get his wages off the book, your Lukaku's, get his wages off the books. FFP will start to float and look a little bit more healthy. But maybe you'll need one more big dose of pure profit. We'll talk about that next. And a pure profit sale is an academy player. An academy player that's high value, that's wanted by a lot of clubs, and could be an immediate £70 million juice into pure profit. And of course, I'm talking about Mason Mount. David Ornstein writes about him today in his article. It's not his column because it's Thursday. Chelsea midfielder Mason Mount is leaning towards a move for Manchester United, and talks are expected between the two clubs in due course. There are other clubs interested in the 24-year-old, and they're aware of his preference. They're aware that he wants to go to United over Chelsea rivals Arsenal, and doesn't want to... Well, Chelsea rivals Liverpool as well. Chelsea and Liverpool hate each other, really. I suppose the smallest, the lesser of the rivals is Manchester United. Mount's future at Chelsea remains uncertain, with the England international's contract due to expire at the end of next season. A number of hurdles still must be cleared. The club would need to find an agreement. United are also prioritising the signing of a striker, and there remains a lack of clarity over their ownership, of course. The Glazers are still selling. Yeah, and we've spoken about them wanting a striker, with the aforementioned Harry Kane top of the list for Ten Hag. Incoming Chelsea head coach Mauricio Pochettino wants Mount as a part of his squad for next season, which leaves some optimism for late development. Yeah, there's been multiple reports from different publications suggesting that Pochettino really, like every other Chelsea manager and, the England manager, really wants Mount. And indeed, Arsenal, Liverpool, Manchester United, they all really want Mason Mount. But it still would depend on the two parties agreeing a new long-term deal, something that has not been able to be done since negotiations opened last summer. The Athletic reported in March that Liverpool were leading the list of domestic suitors for Mount, with the former Chelsea head coach Thomas Tuchel now at Bayern Munich. He also wants to say, so Bayern Munich also want to sign Mason Mount, with, of course, Thomas Tuchel being the coach over there. As we all know, Thomas Tuchel is a huge Mason Mount fan. Mount is also a target for Arsenal, as Mikel Arteta seeks to bring in an option to play on the left side of his midfield trio. Speaking ahead of Chelsea's Premier League trip to United, caretaker manager Frank Lampard was asked if Mount's situation is beginning to feel like a lost cause for the West London club. Lampard, of course, father of Mount, said this: "I don't know. That's not my answer to make. It's between Mason and the club." That seems like a kind of pointless quote to put in there, but we move. Mount is a product of Chelsea's academy and has 195 appearances for the club, for the first team. Nearly 200 appearances already. That's wild. Damn. He spent his 2 seasons on loan to Vitesse and of course Derby between 2017 to 2019 before establishing himself as a regular in Lampard's team. Of course, he's already made 36 appearances for England. Man, dude is up there. So he struggled with a pelvic injury at the end of the season, but I think also there's probably, this is me here, not Ornstein, I think there's been a case of, look, don't rush yourself back while we sort this out. Everyone knows what you are. So Carl Anka of The Athletic has written about Mason Mount. What's so special about Mason Mount? Analysis by Carl Anka. We'll go through this quickly because I understand we know about Mason Mount, but it'll be interesting because Carl Anka is a Manchester United fan and a good journalist. Managers like Mason Mount. He's a 7 to 8 out of 10 in all things you ask from an attacking midfielder. He's an exceptional asset. He runs from deep central midfield. He leads the press. He does high turnovers. So managers such as Southgate and Tuchel often task him with disrupting the deepest midfielder on opposition teams. Look, mate, this is a deep analysis. Basically, it's just waxing lyrical about how tactically Mason Mount's so useful and why he's such a valuable asset for any football manager. And that's why Chelsea could probably charge £70 million for him, which could be a really juicy fund towards the Victor Osimhen kitty. I am a content creator. I have an opinion. You all know my opinion. I respect yours. You respect mine. I love Mason Mount. I think he's been absolutely crap this season. I think there's mitigating circumstances for that. I think he's been very, very good for us. He's, over double digits in goals and assists in the Premier League last season. First player to do that since Eden Hazard, despite being a midfielder and not an attacker. Despite that, I think he'll get better. He's 24. I think he'll be playing at the top level for 10 years. And getting better and better and better. He's a professional. He represents the club well. His media stuff. He'll be so good. Like Liverpool, Arsenal, Man United, Bayern, they won't believe their luck if they get Mason Mount in their team. And if that's to happen, fine. You can't have everything your own way in football and how you want them. I just think we'll just look like mugs for such a long time. If he has to go, I'd love him to go to Bayern because you know what, Sky Sports and Talk Sport and ESPN and all the other media broadcasters for years and years they'll be talking about how we let him go and what we look like knobheads, and I just don't want that. It's gonna be like an understated version of KDB and Salah, because he might not have the the super output, but in terms of his importance and constant presence, he'll be like, well, how did Chelsea let this guy go? And he wanted to stay at Chelsea and all this stuff. Anyway, I know that I find oddly he can be divisive, but I respect your opinion, you respect mine. I would hate to lose him. I think it would be terrible, but at the same time, financial position, these American owners will come in. They won't have sentiment for Mason Mount. Even if they're reliably informed by their board that's accumulated by Chelsea fans and advisors, you don't want to lose Mount. He's represents Chelsea and this is not a good look for you, but they don't give a crap. They come in, they see an underperforming team, a guy that's not really featured or played well. They are told that this guy can be sold for a lot of money and that this can go towards a striker where you need to score goals. They'll look at it without emotion and be like, we got to do this. So, and if we start winning things and scoring goals and everything's okay, this will become anecdotal. But right now, I just feel quite emotional about it, so I thought, I'd say that to you guys. Anyway, let me know what you think. Please do comment down below on all the stories. Thank you for liking and subscribing. If you want some free beer, which is just wild, click the link in the top of the description and go check out Beer 52 now. See you very soon. Keep it locked. Peace.